Imagine waking up in a pool of water because the globe is drowning, not because your plumbing has burst.
The hell?
This may sound unlikely, yet the possibilities of it happening are considerable.
How is that possible?
There are nearly 5 million cubic miles of ice on Earth, and melting it all would take many years. However, if governments do not significantly reduce carbon emissions, several cities may become extinct within the next generation. In today's video, we'll show you how the planet would appear if all of the ice melted, so stick around to learn more. Now, let's get started. Anyone who has ever tried to sit in a bathtub when the water level is too high knows what occurs. Water gushing everywhere creates a muddy mess, and you become frustrated with the cleanup. As glacier ice melts into our seats, we are approaching a day when our world will resemble an overflowing tub. Except, how will the mess be cleaned up? It may resemble the Titanic movie, in which we all battle to avoid drowning. So, would you rather be Rose or Jack in this situation? Well, I guess I'd better start looking for my Jack then. National Geographic collaborated with experts and institutions from all across the world to create a realistic representation of what Earth would look like if the sea level rose by 216 feet, the equivalent of melting all the water presently trapped in ice. Ice from continents as well as ice from seas and lakes fall into this category. One hypothesis is that all land-based ice has drained to the sea and is no longer stored in continental lakes or rivers. On Earth, there are an estimated 5 million cubic miles of ice, which based on current studies appears to be melting. Climate change will ultimately melt all of the ice at the poles and on mountains, according to National Geographic. If the globe continues to consume fossil fuels and emit carbon emissions perpetually, this would raise global sea levels by 216 feet, submerging cities like Miami, Buenos Aires, and Cairo. Cities like Miami and New Orleans would be fully inundated, causing worldwide destruction. Is your city or continent safe though? Keep watching, because coming up next, we will tell you how cities and continents will be affected.
Seriously?
Here's how our coastal cities might look if the world's ice disappeared. If the world's ice melted completely, Miami and the whole eastern shore would be submerged. London, Venice, and the Netherlands would be left out of Europe. Water will engulf the whole country of Bangladesh and Kolkata, which has a huge population. Approximately 80% of Australia's population lives along the shore. The East China Sea would claim Shanghai. The Amazon and Paraguay river basins in South America would disappear. Africa might lose less land due to rising sea levels than other continents. Heat waves would, on the other hand, make most of the land uninhabitable. Unfortunately for Venetians, the next great Aqua Alta in this era would be their last. Venice is temporarily flooded when the Adriatic sea tide rises at various times throughout the year, causing Aqua Alta. For example, Venice has already seen significant floods as a result of increasing sea levels, with record amounts of water covering around 70% of the city in 2019. Do you believe floods would completely wipe off mankind based on all we've discussed? Well, not quite. Those who remain, on the other hand, will face several hazards, such as how they will coexist with polar bears. Stay with us as we talk about what would happen if all of the ice melted. So, how will the world appear if all ice melts? You would gradually choke from inhaling the air if the oxygen content in the atmosphere remained constant. You'd have very little time to adjust to a new environment. The direction of ocean currents would alter, harming aquatic life. Sea species and Arctic animals would suffer extinction if they didn't have time to adapt to such drastic changes. Those who are still alive would have to flee their houses in search of a new abode. The human food supply would be reduced as a result. The deserts would be flooded, while locations that had had a lot of rain would dry out. Agriculture would be destroyed, and a global famine would result. Wind patterns in any case would shift. Without ice to reflect the sun's rays, the sun would take more moisture from the seas, resulting in more clouds. Have you ever heard of the concept of survival of the fittest, in which only the strongest individuals or objects survive or succeed in a scenario while the others perish or fail? We're only curious about cohabiting with animals. Most likely wild animals will be like when supplies are few. Furthermore, clouds would collect around mountain areas initially, and rainfall would gradually deluge them. Oceanic hurricanes would be more common, resulting in greater flooding. A catastrophic tsunami might be triggered by even the tiniest earthquake off the shore. All of this would result in a worldwide movement that governments would be unable to handle. The world would end as we know it. Every square inch of ice lost would trigger a crippling economic cascade. Now, I wished we could ask Noah for tips on how he coped with the world after God flooded the entire planet, wiping away humanity. Even if it appears that civilization is doomed, the ice will not melt overnight. It is, however, dissolving. If we continue to engage in activities that contribute to climate change, the Earth will become ice-free in years to come. and future generations will most likely drown. Thank you for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Please leave a like to help the channel out. See you soon on our next video.